Edo, Galimera, Galispera, wherever time you are watching, this is Mappa. It's a very special edition. That's why I'm talking really quietly. I've got Thasso here with me, and our special guest is, well, my name is who? My name is who? My name is what? Sim Thandi.
Man,
Come on. Come on.
appreciate it.
Come on. What's going on, brother?
Good, man. It's a pleasure to be on here. It's been a long time coming as well. I think we've had a few times where I've been busy, you've been busy, so it's good to be
Yeah,
on here
yeah.
finally.
You've been busy playing FIFA. That's a problem.
That's what it is.
How you finding the new one? Have you got it?
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it. It's all right. It's not too much of a change, but I feel like I'm better on this one, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting better. Yeah, doing all
Tell
right.
me something, right? Obviously, you're a pro footballer, and I've never actually asked this question to pro footballers before, believe it or
hmm
not. What's it like playing a computer game that you're actually involved in, like literally involved in?
You know what? It's crazy because you know what? A lot of people who play football, they sort of like they go home, they don't want to play football on the game as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's good because when you're with your friends as well, you're playing online, you got your friends talking to you and stuff like that. Keeps you sort of socialized as well. So, you know, especially when you play, you come home from training, you want to rest, it helps. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's why I spend most of my time on it, to be honest, because it keeps me active in the mind. Do you know what I mean? And also socializing,
Yeah,
so it's good.
yeah. And I've seen a lot of these Premier League footballers getting pissed off about their ratings. I'm sure you've got mates who are on the game and they're like, nah, I don't want to be a bronze. I don't want to be
Oh,
a bronze. I want
definitely.
to be silver. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I've got a couple of friends who are on there who, to be fair, they should be goals, but
Oh,
they've had problems in their past. Like this is players who I know playing in Leicester, playing in one of them's playing in Fulham. So it's yeah, of course, people will have their reactions. You know, you see top players as well with ratings that are not good. So I mean, it does some people dirty, it does some people nice. So
and what about FM? Because I know Thasso plays Football Manager. Are you into that as well?
you know what? I've never got into that. Believe it or not, I don't know why, but I just never really understood it. I don't know. I've no one's ever explained it to me, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just an Excel spreadsheet, complicated Excel spreadsheet in the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's work in it. It's not
There
you're
goes
not
our
playing
potential
anymore. You're
sponsorship with SI
working.
Games. There he
Oh,
goes.
To be fair, I've had people say to me, "Oh, I've got you on Football Manager or something like this," and I'm like, "Oh, nice." Like, I have no idea what it means. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean the characteristics that they've got for players on Football Manager is a bit more developed than FIFA. FIFA, you've only got the
mm,
five, haven't you? Whereas Football Manager's got like 30 different stats, and then on top
wow,
of that, you've got characteristics as well. So you might be media friendly, for instance, or you might be a model
okay,
citizen, or you might be dirty. I mean, they don't say
ah,
dirty, but they'll be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, he'll chop a player down, kind of thing.
aggressive type. Okay,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I wonder what Amir Varda's one would be. Can't say it just in case. But yeah.
I think he'll just say "Haydi" and leave it at that.
Hey,
Yeah.
lock up your daughters, lock up your wives. Yeah. So it's look. I find it intriguing how you got a lot of footballers that follow these computer games. I remember a friend of mine, Leon, who was at Chelsea, and I think it was Championship Manager, maybe 97, 98. Leon Knight he was a legend of the game. You know, he was at Brighton,
yeah,
banging in goals, and he was doing it in real life as well. And he went to Swansea. I think he got something like 26 goals in 28 games with Lee Trundle up
damn,
front. I'm bringing names that you don't know because you're still young, bro. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so I think a lot of players do get it does hit them in the feels, so to speak.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, but at the same time, it's down to the player, I guess, to perform and get those ratings up. But enough about computer games. Let's talk about you, my
all right,
guy. And yeah, let's start from the beginning. Okay,
okay,
from you're 24 years old. Tell me about the early days of your football career and what a little part of that question. I'm going to add a bit of spice onto that one. With your ethnic background,
yeah,
was it something that was kind of frowned upon by your family? Because as you know, with Cypriots as well, it's like, how are
mm-hmm,
you going to be a footballer for? Be an accountant. Be
yeah,
be like Thasso. You know.
Oh,
You know what? It's man, it goes back from when I was younger. I think, to be honest, I was lucky I had an older brother as well. So he was playing football for the local team over here, the village I'm from, and I used to like go down, watch his games. I mean, they used to get absolutely bad. I think I don't even know what the scores were, but it was unbelievable. But I used to be there on the side, just kicking the ball about and stuff. I think I was like probably like 4 or 5. So, but then it came to a point where I was old enough to play for the local team. And I started playing there one year under sevens, I think, under eights, and you playing like tournaments and that. For me, it was just around the corner. It's like literally at the park, so it was like a 2 minute walk. So I'd go there on a Saturday, play and stuff like that. So for my parents, it was never like anything wrong or anything. It was just a bit of fun, keep me active. Um, and then there was like tournaments where you could get scouted and stuff like that. You had like Leicester Scouts, different uh, cities, the Scouts. You had Derby, you had different teams, and I think it was under eights where I got scouted, and yeah, I mean there was like a thing where you'd go. There was like 40 lads would turn up on a Friday. I think 20 only got selected to make an age group of under nines at the Leicester Academy. And for my parents, it wasn't too much then at that age. It's like you take them once or twice a week. They didn't think anything of it. Okay, I don't know how it is now in this generation. Like parents want their kids to be footballers straight away. It's like you see Project Mbappe. You know what I mean? It's it's crazy. But for us, my parents, especially them being from India, they didn't know football like it could be a career or it could be the money in it or whatever. So for me, for them, it was just keeping me active until luckily we was in an area which people knew about football as well. And they convinced my parents, like, take him, it's good for him, he's good enough to play in the academy. And I think as the years went on, we just sort of like was going up the age groups. It's probably like 2-3 times a week. But again, like I just played it for the fun of it. That was the most important thing, and I think that's what really helps the kid. Especially if they enjoy the game from a young age. They'll enjoy it right the way through. And I think people who look at the other side of the game, where they're just like focused on from young, like money, we want to make a career out of football, and it probably you'll face challenges further down the line, I think. But yeah, for my parents, of course, it's different. I think when it comes to 16, that's when the decision is a bit more, because here in England, you go full time. Um, that's like scholarship. So I think my parents were quite 50-50 on it, in terms of like, education, football, which route do I go down? But they made sure I stayed on top of my education. You know how it is, man. It's in your parents. They wanted me to make sure I got good grades. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be turning up to a few training sessions because I'd have some extra work to do. But yeah, I mean, I ended up getting good grades and stuff, and I got my scholarship from Leicester, and you do education there as well. Um, so yeah, I was lucky enough to be one of the few Asians or Indians, South Asians, that was able to push through, and have the backing of my parents as well, because as I got older, they supported me a lot more, and allowed me to go down that path, which definitely helped.
So when you were doing your scholarship at Leicester, you mentioned you were getting good grades. What were you studying while you were playing in the academy?
So no, I got good grades before I entered my scholarship.
Before,
So
right? Okay.
so you do like your GCSEs.
Yeah.
So you do GCSEs, and then after that year, you go into full-time education, well, full-time football with a 2 year. In that 2 year, 16 to 18, you don't do A levels. You do something called a B Tech. It's like
Yeah.
I think it's a
Yeah.
level 3 or something in sport. It's a sport B Tech basically. You can think you can get some places with it. It's okay, it's not equivalent to an A level, but it's good in case football doesn't work out, then you can use that. But for GCSEs, I did all right. I got a few A's,
Oh, look
A
at
star.
you. A stars, come on.
Yeah, maths was my strong subject. Yeah,
All right.
maths, P, of course. Science, A's. B in, yeah, I don't even know what I got a B in. I think I got a B in English, to be honest. That was kind of my weak point. I think it was just all the quotes and the
Come on,
diet
A's
and
and B's now, man. Come on now. Come on.
yeah, not bad, not bad.
Can't complain. Can't complain. All right.
Exactly.
So I assume Leicester City is your first club then.
Yeah,
So you go to it wasn't Filbert Street. Filbert Street was knocked down by that time, I think. So you got King Power, I'm assuming.
yeah,
What was it, Walker's Bowl back then?
yeah. Walker Stadium, I think. Yeah,
Walker's
before.
Stadium, yeah. But is it Foss Park? Is it Foss where the training ground is?
No,
Can't
the
remember.
training ground was at Beaver Drive. It's like Ayleston.
Right, okay.
It's close to Foss Park actually. It's only about a 5-minute drive, to be honest. Yeah, but the stadium was only 5 minutes from the training ground, so
Yeah.
it was
So
near that
what was
area.
the facilities like there? You going there as a teenager, obviously?
Yeah, I mean the facilities were all right. They weren't like spectacular compared to some of the academies we got to go visit on the weekend when we'd have games. They'd always had talks about improving the facilities, but those facilities didn't actually come until like I think 2 years after I left, where they opened that Seagrave. That's unbelievable. I haven't had the chance to go visit. I've been asked to come down a couple of times as well, but I haven't been. But it looks unreal. But even still, man, at that age, at 16, when you go full-time football, you have everything. You have the gym, you have ice baths, hot baths, jacuzzis, you have cryotherapy, you have all the massages, all the beds, gyms. It's everything you can ask for as a footballer. Okay, now with the new technology, you have crazier things. Everything is developing and stuff, but it always stayed on top and it had everything. So it was good. And the pitches, beautiful, man, beautiful.
Okay. So in terms of the players that you were playing alongside at Leicester, is there anyone notable that we might know, or are they still playing pro?
Yeah. You got Harvey Barnes, Newcastle now. Couple lads still at Leicester. You had Hamza Chowdhury, kid at Dewsbury Hall, who's doing really well as well. And one of the other lads who's coming through now is academy player, Casey McAteer, who's scored a couple of goals. But then there's also Calvin Bassey, who went to Rangers, then went to Ajax, and now he's at Fulham. So, yeah, good friends, good guys as well. Very down-to-earth people. Luke Thomas as well, who's at Sheffield on loan, I think. So, yeah, played alongside him, played with him, even stayed in the same house as Calvin, so we were quite close. We were good friends, and they're good players, man. They're doing really well for themselves.
Doesn't Calvin Bassey play for the Nigerian national team now, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken?
So I think he's been playing the last couple of years now. He's been in
Because he was at Ajax, wasn't he? And then he went to Fulham.
Yeah. So he went to Ajax. I think he only went for one season though.
Yeah.
And then moved. He's in the Premier League now. Fulham. I think he's a Fulham. I think it was like 20 million or something like that. It was
big
decent
money,
move,
big
man.
money. Yeah. And there's someone else I think that you were at the academy with who is playing in Cyprus at the moment.
Yes, my boy Morgan Brown.
There you go.
For sure. For sure. I thought we were talking England, but yeah, in terms of Cyprus, definitely Morgan Brown. He was with me at the Scholar, exact same age group. After he went to Aberdeen, I believe, and then actually I think he was only a couple months after me when I moved to Cyprus. He came, so he's been on the journey. He's been on from second division until winning the league. So but he's always stuck with Iris, and he's done really well for himself as well.
That's right. And then you went to Stoke from Leicester. Now, was that a move that you felt would help your development and that you would get a stronger chance to get into the first team?
definitely it was as well. And I'd been at Leicester 10 years in my career as well, in my life. And it was good to go to Stoke. It was a different change, and it was, I think, it just gone into Championship, so there was more of a, I could see more of a pathway in that way. I was there for a year. Was with the under 23s at the time. I think I was only 18 as well, so was playing week in, week out there with the 23s. Was training a few times with the first team as well. So, but I was just, it was quite difficult to actually break in because they had a lad who was a year older who was, the regular first team right back. So he was a great player as well. Tom Edwards. He signed like a 4 or 5 year deal as well. So I don't think in the end I was going to really break into the Stoke first team. So I think it was after that season I got the call to go to Cyprus, and yeah.
So how did that come along then? Were you contacted from Cyprus? Was this who showed the interest in you? Like how did it all work out that you ended up in Cyprus from Stoke?
So I had a coach at Leicester. His brother was Emmanuel AEK'S, and he knew who I was, and I went over to, I think they had a preseason tour in Poland. They wanted to assess me, see what I was like, and how I was as a player. So it was sort of like a trial as well, like to see how I am and if I'm good enough. And I went over there. We had 3 games, I think. Played in them, did well, and then after that, they was like, yeah, as I think I was an under 23 as well, so I would be, I think a B, is it B list player they call them or something? So in the right back position.
That's right, yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I went over there, and okay, Cyprus, coaches don't always last that long. Unfortunately, I think he lasted a few months or something. But I'd signed a 2 year contract, so I was there for 2 years until then. But he went on and I think did his thing. I think he went with Emery as well, I think.
Yeah, he's in the under
Yeah,
21s, I think. I think he's in the
yeah.
U21s of Villa.
Nice.
Idiakis.
Idiak I think Inigo is. Emmanuel, I don't know where Emmanuel is now. I think
Not sure.
Emmanuel,
Not sure. What's
yeah.
the Bournemouth head coach? Who's the Bournemouth head coach? What's his name again?
Una Emery.
No, Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. No idea.
Because he was coaching at AEK at one point, wasn't he, Thasso? The current Bournemouth head coach.
Iraola.
Iraola.
He's a
he was.
Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. So
So
he was.
and AEK'S is right now he's at Deportivo La Coruña.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone knows each other, man, in the game. Everyone knows each other. It's
Hmm.
wild though, because
Yeah.
I remember, I think the summer you left, or the time that you left Leicester to go to Stoke, was round about the time when Pereira joined Leicester. I think, was it
Yeah.
Puel had brought him in? Was it Puel, or was it? I can't
I think
remember
it was
who brought
Puel.
him.
Yeah, I think it was Puel.
Yeah. So when they're spending 20 M's on a fullback, you're thinking, this is gonna be tricky, isn't it?
It's a difficult one, man. It is difficult, and you know what? Football as well. It can be a bit of a look. If someone gets injured, you might, or if 2, 3 players get injured, you might get the opportunity. Um, but it's difficult. It's quite difficult when you got players, clubs, when they do have money, they will use it how they believe so. And if they brought Ricardo Pereira in, he's a great player as well. He had a good season that season as well. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to break through, and I saw an opportunity to play professional football abroad. And you know what? At the end of the day, like I love football and I love playing it. And for me, I wanted to go and play professional football. It always been a dream. I think we had the year I went to Larnaca as well. We had the Europa League qualifiers, so to go into Europa League qualifiers, is massive. As a kid, you watch Europa League and you just think, wow, like, if I get the chance to play, you get to travel week in, week out. it's a crazy experience. At 19 years old,
Yeah,
it's good, man. It's
of
if you
course.
get that opportunity, man, you take it. So
Bro, Joe, there's a question I want to ask about your time at Leicester. I know I don't want to spend too much on this, but you were there around about the time when they won the league title, the Premier League, right? So I know you
yeah,
weren't with the first team, but you were in and around
hmm
the club. So the
yeah,
reason why I'm asking you this question is because even though you're 24 now and you know you played in Cyprus, you've been in and around an environment at a
hmm
club that no one thought would win the title, but you were there. So what
yeah.
was that for you personally? And also, were you guys as youngsters involved in, I don't know, maybe the celebrations or talking to the first team players or any kind of experience?
Well, you know what? At that age, I think we was about 15, so we was just going into the full-time role. Just before that, it was, but we'd be around like the change room. Obviously, I'm in the facilities because we train like 4 or 5 times a week, and and you know we'd also ball boy the games, so it was crazy. You was literally pitch side of them winning the league. You know, you get to go in the change, like just outside the change rooms. You see the vibes, everything, and it's like, and it's the whole energy of the whole city as well. You know, like you had everybody behind them. Um, for them as well, it must have been as surreal for them as it was for us because they probably didn't expect it. Do you know what I mean? Like going into it, that like, of course, every team wants to do as well as they can, but I doubt their first goal would have been to win the league. So I think for them, it was just taking every game as it comes. You could see it that they weren't focused on the league, like, oh, we want to win the league. They was focused game by game, and I think that's the most important thing for a team like that is just if get the 3 points this weekend, get the 3 points next weekend. And I think the confidence of the players was unreal. The chemistry, you know, the you had players like N'Golo Kante, Drinkwater, and all that just combining well. Vardy getting on all the goals. You know, you didn't have the modern back four you'd expect. You know, in football, you'd had Wes Morgan, Robert Hoof, Christian Fuchs, Danny Simpson, who were, you know, not like those speedy defenders. You know, they just played as a unit really well, and it worked. It worked really well.
The reason why I brought it up is because, as you know, a lot of clubs that look for players, they always look at their CV, they always look at their
Hmm
transfer marked, right? And they see, you know, for example, your situation, Leicester City under 18s, but they don't delve into the background in a way that would be beneficial, not only for you, but also for them.
hmm
You were a youngster who, even though you weren't playing for the first team, you were in and around the first team, yeah,
Yeah,
experiencing a title win that will probably never
yeah,
be repeated for a long time anyway. And
mm,
you had the likes of Kante, Schmeichel, all of these players around.
yeah,
And for me, as a person that, as I said, I analyze the game, and Thassos is another one. You look at these statistics and you look at this character building, and you're thinking, do you know what? You can play ball. You've got the experience, obviously having played in Cyprus, and you've got that added experience that no one else on the island really has done. And I
hmm
think that's something that a lot of coaches need to, or even analysts need to look into more, the mental side of the game.
of course, and you see that, and like that's a lot of detail, which is, you know, more than what some people would do. But you know, in terms of like us, like when we were training as well, we was not linking off the first team, but we was, you know, it was passed down through the whole academy. You know, the way they was coaching the players and to sort of do what the first team were doing, and it built character and it builds mentality, and you know, and it just allows you to sort of get the feeling that they're feeling as well, and it definitely helps developing you as a player as well.
Wonderful. All right, so you've gone to AEK, completely new
Hmm
environment, different language, although I assume that English was the language mostly spoke around the club, or maybe Spanish,
Spanish.
or maybe Spanish.
Spanish, yeah.
Maybe Spanish, yeah. So, first of all, going to Cyprus, what was that like for you? I mean, I'm assuming you've been on holidays before, maybe not to Cyprus, but other countries. But you've gone out there, and what are you thinking when you've stepped foot at? I'm assuming Larnaca Airport.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've been at Napa. Believe it or not,
Okay.
I had been.
No.
Yeah, yeah, I'd been. just experience for the boys. It wasn't for our age. It wasn't an expensive. It's not like your Marbella's or your Ibiza. It was a good holiday that we could afford as well. So yeah, we went there. But even getting the opportunity to go there to play football, like stepping off in the heat, was the first thing that we was thinking, because we'd just been in Poland, believe it or not, doing that preseason tour, and we was
Right.
sweating in that heat, and that was only like 27, and the lads there were saying, "You think this is hot? You think this is hot?" And I was like, "What?" Because a couple of them were wearing jumpers, and I was like, "How are you not wearing jumpers?" They was like, "Trust me, this is cool. This weather is cool for us." Like, and I was baffled, and you could feel it as soon as you got out and you go. I think we got there in the evening, so it was a little bit cooler. But the next morning when we woke up, we was like, we got to train in this. Like, wow, okay. But it was good. That was probably the first thing I think. I think the most difficult part was actually when we managed to get our own place. Because I'd gone there with an ex-teammate who was also at Leicester with me. His name was Joey Keaveney. So, I wasn't alone. But it was like when we just moved into a new country, when we moved into a new place, and we was like, what do we eat? Like, that was the first thing we was thinking. Like,
Yeah.
it was like we used to sort of like people doing things for us, like cooking and the cleaning and eating the food and stuff and preparing things. And it was like, yeah, you're a man now. You've got to do everything yourself. You've got your off the pitch duties and you got your on your pitch duties as well. So it's a lot. It's a lot for a 19-year-old to just go across the country in any case. When you got football as well, with the pressures and all that, you got to adapt quickly. Otherwise, you can get left behind.
I'm going to ask one more question and I'll let Thasso ask his ones. But did anyone warn you about Cyprus? And not in a bad way, but in terms of, there's probably going to be loads of managerial changes. You're probably going to see strange people driving. And there's a certain behavior, or as we call it, this is Cyprus. Hence why the reason the show's called This is Mappa, because Mappa means football in Cyprus, as you know. But
yeah, no one warned me before. They warned me after. So once I got there, then like obviously I was in the change room, so I'm already settling in, and I'm just getting so many different, warning signs or this and this. And I think my mate was driving at the time. He was taking us to the training, and man, some crazy driving. But it's that was the first thing I learned, I think. And then you hear loads of things and stuff like that, and you sort of you just try and take it on, and you don't really believe it until you see it. I think that's what it is, and when you do see it, you realize, okay, yeah, people were telling the truth. So there can be some good things, some bad things, but it's yeah. Unfortunately, I got the warning signs after, so. But I don't regret. Even if I heard them before, I think I would have just all took them in my stride.
yeah, I can imagine. Actually, Thasso, sorry to do this. I got one more because it's just
Do
popped
it.
into my head.
Do it. It's
Was
fine.
that the pandemic year when you joined?
So we joined in, I think, July, and then played until I think January or February, and then the pandemic hit in March, I think.
Right.
Yeah, so it
So
killed us the first season.
so you're in lockdown in a country that is brand new to you. Going back
Hmm.
to what you said about getting used to the surroundings, that must have been even more difficult. I mean, it's throwing you in at the deep end, but
Yeah, yeah, it is true. I mean, I think a few months after you settled in and stuff, and then they start talking about this virus and things start going crazy. You haven't seen your family in a few months, and um, I think, and it's winter time as well. There's not too much to do in Cyprus, and then they cut off all the flights, and we're like, we're waiting to see what's going on with the league, and you got all of that, and then they finally decide to cancel it, and you can't just catch a flight and go home. You've got your apartment that you're staying in to sort out. You've got the things you just bought. You've got loads of things to figure out. And then I don't think I ended up getting a flight. And this league finished around about March. I didn't go back to the UK until about May. So like 3 months there was no flights, and it was just a bit of a crazy situation. You was there and you had to keep fit. You had to do everything you could, use whatever you could, whatever facilities. Yeah, like you said, in a country you don't really know, and it's like it's interesting, but it's again everything has shaped me to the person I am. It's these crazy situations you never would have expected, but you just got to deal with it.
There you go. Thank you. Thasso, over to you, my friend. Sorry.
No, fine. It's fine. It's fine, man. It's fine. No, I wanted to ask. You've got these kind of training facilities in England. You've talked about
Hmm.
how great the training facilities are. In Leicester at Stoke. So you show up for your first training session at AEK'S training ground after going on the preseason tour from Poland.
Hmm.
What do you see? What do you see different there? What was your uh, what what was your impression of what you saw?
Well, you know what I mean? For me, like I gotta give it to Ike in terms of facilities. It's really good the way they've got everything in there. In the changing rooms, you've got the you've even got a swimming pool inside. You've got the hot bath, cold bath, sauna. You've got really good facilities. And for me personally, like to have them for myself, like as a member of the first team, is is a is very nice. I mean, as an academy player growing up, you sort of use the first team's facilities, like if they're not in and you get the chance to. So to have them for yourself is very good. Like we had you finish a training session. For me personally, because it was a new experience, man, I used them to the most. Like I think I was the last person to leave every day. You could probably ask someone who was playing with me at the time in Ike, like I'd probably be ask the kit man, I'd be the last person to leave every single day. Like I would make sure I get use the facilities nicely, recovery, using the sauna, hot bath, ice bath, to recover. And I never took it for granted. I appreciate it.
No,
No, the facilities were very good, Ike, and okay, you don't have like multiple pitches, like a facility where it's massive, like you have in England. You have the stadium separate to the training ground. You'll have the training ground in one location, the stadium in another location. In the training ground, you'll have like maybe 6, 7 pitches because also the academy uses it. But in Cyprus, it was a bit different. We used the change rooms for the stadium, for the games, and also for the training. So that was the only real difference. So there wasn't really much in terms of like what we got. Um, it had enough. It had pretty much everything I expected.
so when you say the pool, you mean the pool that's at the Rasizi, that's near the stadium, right? Is that the one that you mean?
No, no, there's a little indoor, like a rehab pool, like a little rehab
Oh,
pool.
right. Okay. Got you.
So it's
Got
like
you.
a little, probably like a 5 meter pool. Just I think players use it. Wow, they use it to dip in after a hot day or something, or
Right.
it's like
Got
for
you.
players who can't put full weight on,
Got you.
and they use
Got you.
that as
Okay.
like, yeah,
All right. Because obviously, because the AEK Arena is right next to the old stadium that they used to play in as well, which also
yeah,
has new facilities with the outdoor kind of Olympic training pools and stuff that they've got there as well. So I thought that
yeah.
that was maybe what you were referring to. But
No,
yeah,
no, no.
no. That's great because a lot of players, I imagine, coming, they'd be coming from England, showing up to Cyprus,
Hmm.
showing up to training, and being like, "Where's the rest of it?"
Hmm.
kind of thing. So
Yeah,
but obviously, AEK have kind of poured in a lot of money into their facilities over the last 10, over the last 10 or so years. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to see that that's something that they're dealing with. So your time at AEK, you spent a few years there. What do you think for you were your big highlights?
I think, to be honest, my first biggest highlight was, playing in the Europa League qualifier. Making my debut in the Europa League qualifier was like a surreal experience. Like just waiting to get the chance to play, and then being part of like a 4-1 win was massive. And getting the fans, like the attention, like it's nice. You grow up as a kid seeing, looking up to the first team players in, growing up, and you see it, and then when you get to actually live it and feel it, it's a great feeling. So there was definitely that. Um, Also making my debut, keeping a clean sheet in the first game of the season. Um, Again, amazing experience, positive feedback from all the fans, players, coaches. And then I think that season was good because I got to play, but also frustrating that it came to an end so early because of the COVID. But I'd say that season, first season, was definitely a highlight for me. Other highlights is just scoring as well. Um, we unfortunately didn't win anything. I haven't had that experience yet, but I've had many good highlights in hike for sure.
Yeah. So you spent uh, yeah three seasons at AEK. Is that right?
3 seasons, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got 62 appearances, 3 goals, and 3 assists according to Transfermarkt. Are they correct? Does that sound right?
Possibly, yeah. I think I've got 3 goals, 3 or 4. I don't know, one or the other.
Right.
I know you
It's
scored
not
against
like it's.
Buffalo. I know you
I
scored against. I
scored
remember that one.
Bafos, and North Assist, um, and another one, I think, and then one in the cup as well. I think. So yeah, I mean, okay, I expect more from myself in terms of goals and assists, but I mean, this football, I played.
Yeah.
I think I played well. I did well when I was over there and
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
everything I could, gave 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's testament to the fact that you were there for 3 seasons, because most players normally they're there for a season and then all right, find the next club. So the
Hmm.
fact that you were there for 3 seasons obviously means they thought very highly of you. Now, following the 3 seasons at AEK, you then
Hmm.
go on loan to Karmiotissa. So do you want to talk us through kind of the process of how that went about?
Yeah. So at the end of the season where I think I played like maybe 20 odd games, and we finished second place. Yeah, so it was like a Champions League spot. We had a good season. Played right back, left back, and stuff. And then at the end of that season, because I became an A-list player. I think I was turning 23 that season, so I was 22 at the time. They said, that they have, because normally in like they have like a above 23 in the A list in the right back, and a B list right back. So we had an A list at the time, and they said to me, look, yeah, you have the opportunity to find something in terms of like a loan or something. So it came to around about, I think, September time when we got the call from KARMIOTISSA to go over there, because I don't think they started off too well in terms of like results and stuff. But I went over there, and we turned things around into, I think there was bottom of the table, and we did all right in the end. I think we finished about mid table, so we did good. I think we again, I got there and a manager had just been sacked, so it was like it
Which
was sort of
one?
like a yeah.
Which one?
That's it. That is
I
it. I
was going
think
to get
in
to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
I think
it would have either been Urin in the first few games, or it would have been Haralambos for his first stint, I think.
yes. I was there
Right.
when Haralambos was there, so
Yeah.
that's when I moved there. Um, and then I think after one game, and the manager came in and took over. Um, and he was there, I think, for like maybe 2, 3 months, and then another one came in. But I think actually we had some decent results. I think we had like 4 or 5 clean sheets in a row as well. We did quite well. I think my second game we played against APOLLON, we had a 0-0. Considering the start of the season, it was a pretty good result for us as well. So big turnaround, but we did well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking. I'm just looking at KARMIOTISSA'S results
So
over the
one second.
season. One of the uh, one of the big results that they always talk about is, especially with Haralambos being in charge, was the fact that he didn't lose to Aris while he was in charge of Karmiotissa. That was one of the big things that they talked
Yes,
about
that is true.
Haralambos. Yeah, yeah.
That is true.
I'm just seeing there's a 0-0 here as well on the
Claim to
in
fame.
And
January.
we
Yeah,
beat them as well, 2-1 as well. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think Aris when they was doing really well, um, and we was doing all right as well. But I think we sort of like played against the way that they wanted to play because we defended quite well, to be honest, and we got a clean sheet, so that was the most important. Okay, the goal wasn't gonna come because we was pretty much 11 in our own half, but yeah,
mm, mm, mm. Well, I think we have to talk about the changeover of the managers. Now, what does that do to a team with the amount of with the changeovers that are happening? Wait, is it a thing like after the fourth one you kind of get used to it, or is it um, is it something that that has an effect on
yeah.
your team? Do you think?
I think when I was at Ike, um, it was a bit of a blow because I'd just signed with the coach who brought me in. Um, and it's sort of like a fresh start when you get a new manager in. Um, everybody's energy changes. Everybody, sees because obviously a manager wouldn't get sacked if he's doing a good job in terms of like results. So when the results go down, players sort of like they look for that new thing to find to latch onto to become positive again. So I think when a new manager comes in, everyone's like more fresh. Everyone's energy changes. That's usually why the first couple of results always end up being quite good because everyone's giving that extra. I don't know if it's down to the players and their motivations, or if it's down to them wanting to prove their position in the team. Um, there's a lot of factors, but I think you sort of get used to it as a player in terms of like it's not a good thing, but you sort of like know when there's gonna be something coming in terms of like maybe this manager will get sacked because of this, and it's not what you want because you want it in a way that like you want to. This is the manager, and he's going to be with you, and you got to trust the process, and everyone's got to be on it until the end. And it depends. It really depends.
Who did a
Some players.
sweepstakes? Come on, someone must have done a sweepstakes.
What do you
Like,
mean? What do you mean?
when is this guy gonna leave? Let's put a fiver in and put a
No,
date.
No, 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 no.
I can't answer that. I can't answer that. But
I'm
but to be
joking.
fair,
Come on.
my parents they was quite surprised. They was quite surprising for them in terms of like because obviously they've grown up watching English football and they didn't realize how cutthroat football is in terms of like if you're not getting results, players change, managers change, season after season, months after months. And for them, it was like, at one point, I think it was just like, how long is this one going to last? It's like, and we're like, look, we got to give everything, and whatever happens, happens. But it's definitely something like you sort of get used to, and you can't let it get to you, because at the end of the day, there are so many changes. You have to just keep adapting to the different styles, to the different personalities, or of the coaches and the staff.
So it's the question I want to ask, right? Is there were whispers of people saying that the owner of Karmiotissa wanted to get European football. That was why he was so cutthroat. Was that something that you'd heard in the background?
I think we definitely wanted to, like, before I went there, they had the goal that they really wanted to achieve top 6.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about if we wanted to qualify for European football, but I know we definitely wanted to try to achieve top 6. And we was doing all right, to be honest. I think we got to about 7th in the table at one point, and we was really pushing on and stuff. And then when things didn't sort of go according to plan, where we started, maybe we dropped a couple of points here and there. As I think most clubs, most people would, they would be a bit more like, why are we not getting the results? What's going on and stuff like that. And you look for people to see, what's the situation, what's the problem. And I feel like the managers usually get the back end of it, in terms of like it being there because of them, which it might not be. It might not be, but we've got, as players, can only do our best. And if the manager gets sacked, it's usually not our decision. It's the people from above. So definitely top 6 was a goal. Not sure about Europe. I don't think Europe was a goal.
Okay, now that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one more question, and it's kind of twofold. So, 3 seasons at AEK, 1 season at Karmiotissa, right?
Yeah.
So, first of all, do you have a preferred coach at AEK that you dealt with? And the second one is, you got a bigger choice at Karmiotissa. Was there like one of the managers who made more of an impression for you on you at Karmiotissa than, say, some of the others?
I think in terms of me playing my my favorite desired style of play, and getting the most out of me, was when for starters, was when I went with Emmanuel. Emmanuel was there, and I was playing in a different sort of role, but it was, I was more defensive in that way, but definitely brought out the defensive side of me. But in terms of like overall, I think Sofronis, he he brought out
another one. There's another one. There's another one.
I knew that was probably going to be the answer.
Oh my
because
God.
because Stel has I
More
mean,
passion, more footwork.
you know Stel's thoughts on the matter.
yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the people that we have been interviewing have been saying that Sofronis really makes an impression
Bro,
on
but
them.
what is it though? What is it? Is it his man management? I beg, because I'm trying to understand,
Yeah.
like, because loads of players tell me like he's laughing his ass off, because
Mhm.
obviously, he did well for Monia last season. He galvanized us. We won the cup. I get it, but I don't like the tactical element. Part of me, sorry, a large part of me believes it's probably Bedoya that's coming up with it. I don't see it, bro. I beg,
Yeah.
please. See, look, veins are popping out my
Well,
neck now.
yeah. Well, I mean, I remember listening to your podcast, actually. I think you had Joel Moore on as well, and he
That's right. Yep.
mentioned Sofronis as well. And I think okay, look, in terms of as a player management is very important. And I think you can see it sort of in the way that, when, despite your age, young, old, he gave the same sort of attention to everyone. And I think that was quite important. And even after a game, you know, if we'd lose, we'd win, you know, he'd have like an iPad or something and he'd bring it into the change rooms. He'd sit with a player or something and say, look, this, you know, you could do this maybe. And he was quite, how to say it, skeptical, you know, like if you made a simple mistake, he would point it out, but he wouldn't point it out in an aggressive way in terms of like, what's this, what's that, you know, it was like more of a helpful way and it allowed you to be confident in yourself. Football is a confidence game as well. And he brought out the confidence in me as well and when I was in AEK, and I even scored my first goal, got a couple of assists there when he was there. So, you know, I found myself able to push on higher up the pitch, which is more my kind of game, you know, in the modern style of play, where you can go forward, attack, and, you know, have the cover behind you. And I was able to do that and play with sort of freedom. And he believed in me in terms of like, he knew I was a good defender as well. Like he'd put me against the tricky wingers because he knew. I think it was just that belief in me. I don't know about some players he might you know might not have that belief with, so they might not like him. But for me, even Joel at the time he was playing, so you know we sort of got that passion from him, and that helped us be confident on the pitch. Whether or not we've got the results, it's also about how you feel as a player with a manager. We probably didn't. I don't think we got the best results when he was the coach, but we played our best football. That was the thing, and that's why most of us probably say Sophronis compared to, for example, a fan maybe thinking, yeah, but you're not getting the results. How can you say he's a good coach? You know what I mean? Like
Can you tell me what his tactical level is then? Because again, I get the motivational. So he's laughing. This guy's laughing, but I get the motivational side of things. I've got no problem. I mean, Jose Mourinho is one of the best out there with the motivation, and he's the most pragmatic coach you will ever find. But with Sofroni, I don't know. Look, again, I'm not a player. I've never had a coaching session with him. He'll probably batter me if I ever had a session with him because he knows what I've been saying. But in terms of the tactical side of the game, would you say that, you know, he could, I don't know, take a team to a title? We almost did it with Apollon, to be fair. He almost did it with Apollon.
He almost did it with Apollon as well.
And Apollon, yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't really have him long enough to know. I mean, he's, like I said, he's doing well at Ammonia now. I mean, he's been there for, I think, longer than 6 months, which in my eyes is quite a decent amount of time in Cyprus. So I think I had him in, I think I had him in AEK for about 3 months, and he was only in KARMIOTISSA for I think 2 months before he left to go to Ammonia. So I didn't get to that part, but in terms of when he was with us in KARMIOTISSA, I think he improved us tactically in the way we were playing, because in KARMIOTISSA we were more of a defensive team, more out of possession, hit on the counter kind of team. But with him, we were a possession-based team. You know, we changed completely our style of play. Maybe we didn't get the goals that we wanted. Maybe that was something that we probably would have worked on over time if we had him longer. We only had him for the couple months, and we were only able to change our style of play, which is a lot, even in 2 months as a team. I think we played against AEK and we had more possession. Like for us is a big thing, because AEK is a team who usually dominates possession. So,
well, I mean, that game ruined Keenan Piric. So following that
with
game
Dura as well.
Yeah,
okay, that's right.
Because his form, Piric's form after that game just nosedived. I don't know what you guys did to him, but he was not having a good time after that.
Dura broke him.
And I think we that was the game. After that game, he left as well to go to Ammonia. But they said there was some sort of problem with me playing as well against AEK because I was on loan. but that happened. But I was able to play, and I played. As a player, if someone tells you to play, you play. Um, and then after that, there was a lot of talk in the media and stuff like that saying, I had people coming to me saying, "Oh, you got him sacked. You got him sacked." I was like, "No, I didn't do anything. I just played, whether it was against the team I was on loan at or not." But
Yeah, but bro,
uh,
when you joined them, did anyone say to you, "Well, you won't be able to play for AEK"? Sorry, won't be able to play against AEK because they're your parent club. I mean, I don't know about that rule in Cyprus there, Thassos. Is it?
yeah, there wasn't.
No, it happens a lot. Like a lot of players last season were on loan from APOLLON to the lower clubs, and they were all playing against APOLLON.
Mm.
Okay. I think it's usually, I don't know who, obviously it's probably between the owners, it's like maybe an agreement, like a gentleman's agreement, just be like, look, you can have him, but he doesn't play against us. And I think the first game against Ike, I didn't play because of that reason. And then the second game, it was sort of like I was there on the bench, but then they needed me because our right back got injured. So it was sort of like, it wasn't like putting me in from the start. I didn't start the game. It was sort of like a situation where I had to come on. So there was that. But going back to Sofronis and his tactics, yeah, like I said, I didn't have him really long enough in terms of to know if he could win titles. In both, he didn't really get the chance when I was with him. Um, probably best because you watch Ammonia and how he's doing with Ammonia. So um, I don't know what are your thoughts on him. Do you see him pushing him on or?
Look, bro, I keep saying this. If we win every game 1-0, I don't
Hmm.
care how we play. That's the
Hmm.
way I see it. I remember the old George Graham Arsenal days, way before you were born. Yeah, they were
Hmm.
winning 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, and they ended up winning the title, conceding only 18 goals. I don't give a shit if we do that. But I don't think it's acceptable to be 3-1 up against KARMIOTISSA and draw 3-3. I don't think it's acceptable to draw 3-3 at home against AEK'S. Now, that's not just on the manager.
Hmm.
I'm not saying it's his fault, but he's got to share his side of the blame. And also, the majority of the victories that we've had under him have been smash and grab. But it doesn't matter because we won the game. So I don't have
Hmm.
anything against him. Don't get me wrong. But it's just
Yeah.
that I think in Cyprus, and again, this is just my naivety and me being maybe a bit of a football snob, but in Cyprus, the notion is, well, he knows the league, so he's definitely going to be good for the clubs. Do you get what I'm
Hmm.
saying? But as you said, and as other players have said, and he's stop laughing. As other players said, they get on with him. He does the job. But if you look at someone say CATALA, who was at AEK and had a really good season, right?
Hmm.
And then he went to APOLLON and it didn't work out for him. Did that come as a surprise to you?
Yeah, definitely in terms of, but you know what it was? His style of play. For me personally, the way I saw him in Ike, the style of play we played was very, we had the players to sort of play that style. I don't know a Apollon inside out where I know what kind of players they have in terms of if they're able to play that style, but I could see them trying to play the style that we played and it just wasn't working. If that happens, then it's down to the coach to change their style according to the players. Whether or not he did that in time or he could get that through to the players, it's a different story, a different situation. But with us, it just worked smoothly because the players we had worked well with his style of play, and it was smooth. So maybe that's what's happening in Ammonia. Maybe Sofronis' style or the way he wants them to play, they're not reciprocating, and it's sort of like got to a point where it's like, what do we do? That would be down to the coach now, or the players, or even the people above to make a decision. But I know that Ammonia has quality. It has very good players. Be winning 3-1. Were they winning 3-1 against KARMIOTISSA and they drew
Yeah,
3-3?
20 minutes ago. Yeah.
That was that's that can that I would, I don't know if you could put that down to a
Yeah,
coach in
bro,
terms of the
bro. I'm not.
last.
I'm not. That one. That
Yeah,
one. I put it down to him partially, but I put most
yeah,
of it down to the players because at one point they're on the counter attack and they're jogging at
yeah.
3-1. ain't good enough, and I'm sure he battered them for it. But
Yeah.
this is turning into the Sofroni show, which I didn't want it to become. To be fair, but it's Thassos' fault. Well, look, Thassos, have you got any more questions? Have you got any more questions? Because I've got some quick fire ones that
No,
might be
let's
more
do the quick
interesting.
fire ones. We'll
Yeah.
ask him some more once once we stop recording.
Was he that? Okay, right. So you mentioned a guy that went with you at Leicester City, from Leicester City to AEK, but after he left, did you have any close mates in Cyprus that you hung around with?
Yeah, I think obviously we had Morgan Brown, but my closest friend, I had a couple of English lads as well who came over. So there was Tom Haitley, who I was quite close with, very close with actually. I went around his house quite a few times. You know, we used to chill, we used to go down. You know, we used to always be in the change rooms together, have a good laugh. There was
Big
Matt
surname.
Derbyshire.
Big surname.
Yeah, Matt Derbyshire as well.
Matt,
Ammonia man as well. Top guy, doing well as well. He's at Bradford. And then I'd say my closest friend was Victor Olatunji. Man, if anybody knew us 2 seasons ago, we were like a pair. You know, we went everywhere together. Wherever it was, food, whatever. We were both two people who live in alone, and we just sort of like we always just did everything together. And I think he was my closest friend, and he's now in Sparta Prague, and you know we still keep in touch and stuff. You know, I always ask him how his game went and stuff like that, and wish him luck. So he was probably my closest friend.
Okay, what about the Cypriot youngsters? Because I think Naum had just joined when you joined, but there was a couple others that came. One came from Spal, was it? Was it Spal?
I don't know which one was that.
God,
One of the Cypriot boys I was really close with as well was Henry and Dale. You know,
yes,
Henry.
yes.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, forgot to mention him as well. Proper good guy. Yeah, even him. He used to come around mine quite a lot as well. We used to chill together and stuff. Also, good friends with Mamas and Naum. You know, because
that's it.
Mamas,
He was from Spal.
yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Mamas top guy, funny guy, crazy guy as well. But definitely a good lad. Man, the Cypriot lads are top guys, man. I used to get along with all of them. Just Spanish lads, Cypriot lads, all the others as well. But yeah, definitely a good bunch of lads. And they got me into my coffees, man. My Freddo espressos.
Okay.
Man, I didn't even drink coffee before I went to Cyprus. Now I'm like a coffee addict.
Brilliant. All right. So, in terms of opponents, we know the likes of Bitta have gone to Sweden, Johnny has gone to MLS. You face these guys, but in terms of, let's talk about the Cypriot players, the difficult opponents, the ones that you came across. Who would you say were a challenge, and then also the foreign players?
I'd say someone who, you know, had a lot of talk around his name, who I like to play against, because I like to play against, you know, these big players or, you know, people who are under the spotlight, because it gives me like a challenge to myself in a way. And I think one of the lads who was having a great season actually was Loizu at the time. You know, he was doing really, really well. And you know, I like to play against him. Even Johnny's as well. You know, when I got to play against Ammonia, I loved it because you know I know they had a lot of good Cypriot youngsters coming up. Even Kakulis, I think he was more in the season when I was at KARMIOTISSA, but he was also coming up. Yeah, definitely. Loizu was one of the players who was quite technical, good on the ball. Even in our own team, like playing with, you know, you got Mamas who did really well in the season. We finished second, played many games, was a key player in our midfield. But they have quality. They have definitely quality. And you see the technical side as well. There's even more, but from the top of my head, they're the ones I could think of.
You mentioned Loizu, and there's a lot of talk about the lad, whether he'd be able to cut it in a European league. I mean, obviously you played in England at a young level, but in terms of Loizu's quality, what would you say is, you know, if you talk about, you know, is he a championship level player? Is he League One, League Two? I know it might not be a fair question, but given what you saw that particular season,
Yeah.
how would you judge him in terms of his ability?
In terms of English league, it's difficult to tell because it depends on the team. You know, he could play in a league in England, but be in a team that doesn't play his style of play and not, you know, not do well. But he
Could
was
he do it in
definitely
a
a
cold
player.
Wednesday night in Stoke?
No, that's the problem. No one can. That's what they say, don't they? But he could definitely play at a good level. I think definitely in Europe, in the team that, you know, plays his style of play, you could see the way he wanted to link up, and he had a good passion. You know, when, you know, he was constantly making me work, but it was a good thing. You know, it was we always had a good matchup and a good challenge. But I like that. You know, I could see, you know, he has potential. I don't know how he's doing now. I haven't been keeping track on him. Is he doing okay? Because I think he wanted to go somewhere at the end of the season, but he didn't get the chance to.
Yeah, he's not been playing much at the moment.
Right.
But I think that could be back to Sofronis' man management, in the sense that the lad's played over 200 games in the last 3-4 years. And for someone
Yeah.
that's, what, 19, 20 now, it's a lot of
Yeah.
games. So perhaps he's protecting him from burnout. I don't know. That's the gist I get anyway.
Maybe there's something more. I don't know. But
Don't know. Nobody
yeah,
knows. Nobody
nobody
knows.
knows.
All right. What about foreign players that you came up against? Because obviously you played with the likes of Farage, who is one of
Yeah.
the best players in the league, I think. But in terms of opponents, anyone that you faced, you don't have to mention just on one of your players. You can mention Apollon as well if you want. You know, I know they haven't been great since you were out there. You know.
No, they haven't actually. To be honest, I think there was
But
a.
yeah, Mick McCarthy for one, you know, that's not going to help, is it?
There's a. I mean, because mostly I play against wingers, so you know, I remember the wingers that I play against. Okay, Applewell had a good winger. What was his name again? Brazil, is he Brazilian?
Or Nadal.
No, not
It'd be
Nadal. It was
Marquinhos if it was last season.
Marquinhos. Yeah, Marquinhos. He was a good tricky winger. Um, Good player, good feet, and he has good quality as well. He was definitely someone I could, you know, good. And also Bruno, he was
For crying out
Ammonia.
He's at yeah, he was at
He's at
Omonia
Buffalo.
and then Bafo after January.
He gave me a tough game when I was at KARMIOTISSA because we was mainly on the defensive foot in that time. And you know, you felt the wingers a lot more than when I was at AEK. So, but also I loved playing against Monia because, you know, give credit where credit's due. I think LEICESTER was doing quite well when I was at AEK. You know, every time I play against him, it'd be a good game. Even though he's a left back, but he was high as hell, and he always made me run. But it was good because, you know, it pushed me. I was, what, 19, 20. So for me, it was good to play against that. You know, you have quality players as well. You know, getting the chance to play against Jason Punchin. I mean, and I'm 19 years old. I've come to Cyprus and I'm playing against a Premier League player, ex-Premier League player, and it's like it was definitely. He's definitely one of the good quality foreign players that I remember. Who else is there? There's centre mids. I'm trying to think now. Even Ryan Mai, you know, he's doing well, isn't he? He's at
Stoke, yeah.
Stoke, yeah. So he's there. He was a good player. Isle, when I played against him a few times. Good player
Bro,
as well.
were there any players that obviously you'd never heard of, but were there any players that touched pitch and you were like, oh, hang about, I've never heard of this one before? You know, were there any players that stood out like from the moment you went up against them?
Yeah. What do you mean? Like he was better than I expected, or he was someone that I didn't know?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you didn't know much about the players that you mentioned already, unless you came across them prior to that. But
Yeah.
you know, you go on the pitch, maybe your second or third game, and you're coming across, I don't know, Bagali Dabo, for example, or someone like that. Were there any players that you saw you like, hang about? There's something about them. They don't look like their physical frame and all that. They don't look like they've got a bit in them. But yeah.
You know, someone who was good, who's quite tricky, was quite good, and I realized it as well, was that Semedo. You know Semedo?
Oh yeah. He
Yeah.
loves him.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Man, he's quick, sharp, good player. Coming against him, he's quite tall as well, man. He moves quite well for his height as well. So he was one, and okay, I didn't know about football Premier League too much, younger. So even my first game against Paphos, my debut, I didn't know it was Jason Puncheon or, that he played in the Premier League and all that until after the game. I remember we beat him 2-0 and my mate was like, yo, you just playing against Jason Puncheon and that he's played in the Premier League. I was like, what? I was like, no way. Like, so, you play against players sometimes, it's better not to know before as well, but it can also motivate you as well. So, yeah, there's definitely players I've played against and I'm like, really? Like, wow, okay, that's pretty good considering I did well against them as well. So,
all right. What about your own teammates then? Were there any proper ballers? Like, you see them and you hear about it on the training field. They're just ridiculous. Right.
yeah, I mean, for starters, I think one of the first players who, going over there was Mikel, the centre back.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, I didn't, he's honestly top guy. Like when you meet him, like personally 1-to-1, and I didn't know much about him until I did have my own research on our own teammates. I seen he played like 200-300 games in La Liga in Real Sociedad. Was it Real Sociedad? I think, yeah. And I was like, wow, like yo, he's had a career, and you slowly see them. You see the quality, the mentality, the way he reads the game is really good, and you can see he's got experience. And even Abraham. I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
IL, wasn't
And then
No,
he was
not Avram.
Abraham. Abraham.
Abraham.
He was at Agridas last season.
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
Yes. I thought you meant Andres Azram. So, okay.
Him.
Safe.
I didn't realize his CV until he told me, and you could see the quality of him in midfield. He showed me a picture of him next to Messi and all that, and it's like, wow, like, damn, like, okay, this guy's played with the best. And then who else? Even Faraj, like, doing it unbelievable now. Like, when he came, I think at the start he was like, he wasn't the player who he is today in terms of like, he was much more like skill based in terms like more than direct, and he learned that I think through the experience of the players in the team, because he would be the kind of player who would chop once, chop twice, chop three times, sort of like as you do as a young player, you overdo it sometimes,
It becomes
and
frustrating. Just get the ball in the box. Your
yeah,
strikers are
yeah,
getting pissed.
and then he became direct in the season where we finished second, like because it was the way we wanted to play, and that stood out for him, and it was getting him success, it was getting him assists, and from then he's just sort of like continued doing that. He goes down the line, you can sort of see, because I played against him in training, week in week out, like I know how he's going to play, and you can see him when he's going 1v1 what he's going to do, and I see it and I'm like, it's working as well because it's getting him good results. He's even scoring a couple of goals as well. Jurčko, Adam, also a player, good techie winger, cutting in, got a great whip. And obviously the skipper, Triskovsky, what a goal machine. Honestly, this guy, you know what, even if in a game you're 0-0, you have the feeling that he's going to score at some point. And I think that was a massive thing in a team, like, that he can pull through and get you a goal. And there's very good quality players I played with, good experience, good quality, technically, tactically, physically. And I think being able to learn from them would definitely help me as a player.
For sure, bro. And I've got two more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up because we've done quite a bit of time. And obviously, I thought it was going to be less than an hour, but we've smashed it out of the park, bro. So I appreciate your time, man.
It's all good, man.
You
I
need to
talk
get,
too
you
much
need to-
sometimes, man.
No,
You
don't
need
be
me to
silly.
shut
Don't
up.
be silly. No. It's all good, my guy. It's all good. In terms of, again, back with the teammates, there must have been some characters. I've heard in the past, I think we had, wasn't it Mickey that came on Thasso, and he said that there were
Yeah.
3 AEK players that were in a band They had
Yeah.
their own band off the field. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mickey
yeah,
Lozano.
yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of characters, were there any that kind of stood out?
There was one big character, is Florian.
Florrie, come on,
Mate,
come on,
that guy
come on.
is a funny guy, man. You don't know what to expect with him sometimes, man. Like, I don't know, he's probably had about 6 coffees before he turns up to training. His energy levels are unbelievable. He's busy, like that's the word to describe him. Like we call it busy, like just active, constantly
Yeah.
active. And he was like, he'd do some funny stuff in the changing rooms, even off the pitch. But then again, also can be a top guy. One to one, he can be a very nice guy. And but he was definitely a character. You've got the band. I think I don't know who's in it now, but I don't know. They play guitar and stuff like that.
Yeah, guitar, drums, and one other instrument. I can't remember.
Yeah, and that's in terms of Ike. And one character I had at KARMIOTISSA was the striker. His name was Koulibaly. He was a bit of a character as well. Not in a bad way, in a funny way.
Yeah,
Just constantly making jokes, um, doing some funny, stupid things, but it was always gave you some sort of entertainment in the change rooms. That's what you need. That's where you forget about everything. You sort of have good vibes, and definitely, man, it's just a mad mixture. That's the best thing about the change room. You have anything and everything, man. It's good.
brilliant.
I gotta ask. Sorry, I'm gonna add
Yeah,
even
go,
more
go, go,
time. I gotta
go, go,
ask
go,
about
go.
my beefcake. I gotta ask about Gravenberch,
Yes,
bloody tank.
he
What
Terry
is.
goal was he
Crews.
like? Yeah,
Terry Crews.
yeah, exactly.
He's
Terry Crews.
he's actually he's not like a kind of guy where you think like he'd be aggressive or like like you look at him and you think, yo, I wouldn't want to mess with him, but he's a calm guy, like kind of funny, not not like a joker or anything like that, like where he stands out. He's just one of the boys in the changing room. uh yeah, he didn't do anything crazy or anything like that, but as a guy, he's a top lad.
No, it's just I remember when the social media team announced him, they were like, "The Tower of Limassol is here," and they had him next to Trinity Towers, and being like,
I remember that actually.
"Oh God, yeah,
Oh God, yeah.
fantastic,
I can
Yeah.
fantastic."
imagine him just bench pressing like 5 cows.
Oh,
Just
man.
massive, massive.
I didn't get to see him in the gym, but I can imagine he can bench press a bit.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, look, bro, I've got one more fan. Well, I say football related question with Cyprus,
Hmm.
and then I'm going to ask you your final question. I've got two more.
Okay.
So, in terms of, and this is a question that we always ask guests,
Yeah.
right? If I were to say to you, "This is Cyprus," you know what I mean,
Hmm.
right? It's explaining the unexpected or the unexplainable, right? We've had Manu Garcia tell us that when he thinks of "This is Cyprus," he thinks about the time when they lost his luggage when he first joined Ari. We talk, Lucas Skavron told us about the driving and how he clipped someone and then he got out of the car to take the insurance details, and he was actually a fan of the club that he was playing for, so they just said, "Let it go," kind of thing.
Uh,
What do you think when you hear "This is Cyprus"? What have you seen? It could be on the pitch, in the stands, just going shopping, whatever.
the first thing when you mention driving, it's a must. Like I drive here now, and my mom gets scared when I'm in the car. She's like, "What's happened to your driving?" She's like, I'm driving like at roundabouts, like I'm just going straight. I'm not looking right. I'm going like it's dangerous, but you learn it. It's at the end of the day, who has the bigger balls in
Yeah,
Cyprus? It's like when you're
yeah.
driving, it's I go or you wait. Do you know what I mean? It's simple as that, and that's definitely one of them. I think the biggest thing that changed me about Cyprus was, like I mentioned earlier, was coffee. Like this is Cyprus. Like I was going through like maybe 3, 4 coffees a day. Like it's probably not even a lot compared to some people, but it just changed me as a person. Like even now I'm in the UK, like I got I'm waking up, I'm having my morning coffee, like I'm having my lunch. I mean, I finished my gym session, my training. I'm like, yo, let me get a coffee, like, because it's such a good vibe as well. It's so calm, relaxing. Um, they're two things off the pitch that I could think of. Uh, on the pitch, I think it's never knowing what you're gonna expect in a game in terms of like it might be decisions of some games, maybe something's against you for you. I don't know. You don't know what to expect. Results as well in terms of like I think it was last season when we played against Apollon and we won 4-3 against Apollon,
That
and
that
that was the
game,
craziest game I think I've played in it. It was like we was losing, I think 4-1 or 4-2, and we came no 3-1 or
three,
3
yeah,
3-1.
yeah.
We came back to win 4-3. And the game didn't even finish. We had seats being thrown on the pitch. We had fans going crazy. My mate was trying to take a corner, couldn't take a corner. I think he got like beer cans thrown at him and everything. But
Yep.
man, for us, what a feeling it was. But I can't imagine for the other team.
It
Yeah,
was
because
absolute
Ella
pandemonium.
Lucci was telling us about this when we did the
Hmm.
interview with him, and he told us, he goes, I shouldn't have celebrated in front of them because that just wound them up even more. But heat of the moment, yeah.
Yeah, you've
Yeah,
you've got to, you've got to. It was crazy, and I think who was playing for them at the time? I think it was Warda, and he was going
Yes.
crazy. We was loving it, man. We was loving it as players, man. You know, winding up the other team, getting in their
yeah,
heads. Like, even though when
yeah.
you got the fans against them, it's like, yo, we've done a good job. Do you know what I mean? I think that was something. When you got things being thrown on the pitch for the opposition team, you know you've done a good job. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the only time that's happened either with KARMIOTISSA last season when you were beating Anorthosis as well,
that's it. That's it. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. No, this.
and the fans just for some reason did not like Knobloch in the goal. They didn't like Milan in
Mm,
the goal.
yeah,
They just
mate. I think
kept throwing stuff at him.
I remember that. I think they threw like, I think a seat nearly hit him or a bottle hit him on the head or something. Uh, but the
Yeah, he
game
had
got
a
abandoned.
flagpole as well. Yeah,
Yeah, flagpole. That's it. The game got like we went back in the change rooms. Then we came out. We started playing again, and then they just finished the game. And I was like, we will take it. I think we was 2-0 up at the time, and I think we got the win. So I think that was when a time when the North weren't doing too good, and to have a team that was lower than them in the league come and beat them, you know the fans don't like that. So it's
Do you know why the game was cancelled?
uh
You didn't notice the two Molotov cocktails that were thrown on the
yeah,
pitch?
like yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
there's that as well.
It's me thinking he didn't even know.
I
Yeah,
think I think I think we'd gone inside at that point. I think because I remember my mom messaging me after the game or calling me saying, "Yo, they was throwing like fire thing on the pitch," and I was like,
She must
"What?"
have seen our tweet. She must have seen our
Yeah,
tweet. We were the first ones to
definitely.
put it out there.
yeah,
And I
because
was like,
yeah, yeah, they weren't showing it like on the they barely showed it on the TV. They kept trying to show different scenes in the stadium.
ah,
They kept
right,
going back to it, and they go, nope, nope, nope,
yeah,
That's
nope.
why that's why I kept pausing it on the TV and just
Yeah,
using my phone.
and putting it
I don't
up there.
care. I'll expose them. I don't care.
it was it was something else. That
Yeah,
season was something
Absolutely,
else.
absolutely.
but I mean
Now,
that
well,
that kind of like adds to the the enjoyment and the atmosphere. Like it's as footballers, okay, it can ruin the game in terms of like if a team, like for example, say for a North City, it might have ruined the game because they didn't get the chance to come back and maybe bring it back. But also being on the other side, it's like, yeah, this is why I love this game. You know what I mean? It's experiences like that.
Passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, look, put it this way: if half the things that happened in Cyprus happened to a club in England, they would have been booted out of the league completely. They would have been booted out a long time ago. We're not just talking about the things that happen on the field. We're talking about off the field with the fans. With look, you probably watch this podcast from time to time, and the amount of stuff that
Mm.
we report. All you need to do is watch our intro, and it's just it took me about 3 hours to do it because we're taking clips of just photographs of whether
Uh,
it be graffiti on opponents' clubhouses, or just Sapinto pushing an assistant coach, or a whole heap of stuff like. But this is Cyprus, and we love it. And mate, thank you for joining us. We've done close to an hour and a half. I guess I'm just going to have to ask you one more thing. What's next for you? Because I know that you're looking for a club at the moment. Would you consider going back to Cyprus? And also, you'll be able to play for the national team pretty soon because of your citizenship. Is that also in the back of your mind? I'm not pressing you for that answer, but is that a possibility?
Well, to answer your first question in terms of considering going back to Cyprus, yeah, it's definitely a possibility in January. I'm open to coming back. I have nothing against Cyprus in terms of the football. I love the football there. I enjoyed my time there, and if I had the chance to go back there, I would definitely consider it. And I wouldn't say no. So that's that. The second one, in terms of, I forgot what the second part was. That's national team. That was it.
National team, because you could choose three really: England, India, and Cyprus. So
yeah, Cyprus, yeah, definitely. I'd be, if I got the opportunity to get a citizenship and get the passport to play for the national team, I would be more than happy. I mean, I think, the national team is okay. I think they've not been getting the best results, but to be able to go in there,
I can
say, okay.
Nicely, yeah. It's been disastrous. That's what it's been.
So to get the opportunity to go and play for them and to help them out, and if I could, I mean, the first thing would be to get the call up, I guess. But definitely, I'd love to play for the Cyprus national team. But if that is an opportunity to play for India as well, then there's that. But I think it will come to a point where I would have to choose, in terms of, like, maybe they would if India would allow me to have the citizenship and all that, and there's a lot of decisions to make, but to play for any national team is always a privilege, so whoever it be.
Well, you've got options. That's the main thing. You got your options. That's brilliant.
That's positive.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, Sim, thank you for joining us, bro. I really appreciate it. I know this went longer than we thought it would, but it's been incredible talking to you. Thanks for your stories. Thanks for your experiences. Fingers crossed you find the club in January. And to those still viewing, we're on Instagram, Twitter at This Is Mappa. We've got a Facebook group page. We have a Discord. We've got plenty more content coming soon. Thasso, anything else you want to add?
The website, Cafes Flares.
Yes.
Yeah. Make sure you check out Stel's article on AEL.
Not just mine.
Well, start there and then work your way back.
Okay, fair enough.
There you go.
Give me too much credit. Anyway, that's it, boys and girls. Thank you very much. Good night. Adios.